Start, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
What is going on? You are listening and watching Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live version. I'm your host, Steve V, alongside Kodi Maurice Doggette. How are you?
Hello, darling. I'm doing well today.
I'm doing really good. I'm in Boston area, headed off.
Ooh,
Yeah, staying at a friend's tonight, and I will be ferrying my way over to Provincetown, P-Town, beginning tomorrow afternoon. I'll be there tomorrow evening in through a very long weekend. So anybody out
nice.
in P-Town, hit me up and would love to meet some of our listeners. It's going to be fun. I can't wait.
Right.
And shout out to Teddy, who's watching us right now, because we are
Hi,
live.
Teddy.
And
Have
yes,
fun in
exactly.
P-Town, boo.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I've been there in seemingly, I think, a couple years now. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's up. I hear the numbers of COVID are down, but still
Okay.
we'll be
Good.
we'll be careful and all that good stuff. The good thing about P-Town, Kodi, is that most of it you can do outdoors.
I've never been. Next time you go, I want to go with you. So
absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely. Let's make it happen. Well,
Let's
all
do
right.
it.
We've got a jam-packed show for you, including a Vulnerable Voices coming up in a little bit. But let's get to some of the news making the waves. And Kodi, I know you're going to love this first one because
I'm so
you're
excited.
a little known fact about Kodi. He's a huge superhero comic book fan. I didn't
Is
know
it a
this
little
at all.
known fact or is
Maybe
it
by
a very
now.
known fact? I know everybody knows that I love comic books.
Well, I think you're going to love this next story because in an attempt to renew the Superman comic book franchise, which DC Comics has been, I guess they've been having some trouble doing.
Okay.
Yes, according to an article I got, there is going to be Superman has a son. You were telling me the name of his son. What's the son's name?
John Kent.
John Kent, Superboy right now, is going to come out as gay. And I think that's pretty crazy, right?
So interesting. And it's so wonderful that they would have him come out as gay, this very powerful man in Superman, basically. Uberman.
Powerful.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That it's just wonderful that they would have the Uber man. The Superman was originally designed to be the height of the highest of the high of men. So it's so wonderful that they have a gay man that is the Uber Mensch, basically.
Yeah, and essentially what's going to happen, the creators are reportedly killing Superman off at some point and going to replace him with his biological son, like you said, Jonathan Kent or John Kent, Superboy.
I know him as John. Yeah.
Okay, of course.
We're on a first name, short name basis.
I love it. I love it. And the plan is that Van Creever, a comic book insider and independent creator of Cyberfrog, has come under fire for his use of alt-right and Nazi imagery, which he claimed was in jest, according to one blog. Did you know this?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so on his show, the artist speculated that the move was intended to make the comic more marketable and relevant, saying that the families of Superman's creators, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, desperately would like the franchise comic to turn a profit for them. Okay, so they're coming to us, I guess. And, and Superman, son
we lead the way in everything, honestly.
You know, exactly. Superman, son of Kal-El. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
That you said that's his Krypton from Kryptonite?
Exactly. That's what his parents named him on Krypton. And interestingly enough, I once kind of almost dated a guy named Kal-El. His parents were big Superman fans.
Right.
And they named him Kal-El, which is so kind of weird to me at first because I guess nobody knew. He was like, oh my God, I can't believe you know that who I'm named after. And I'm like, of course, doesn't everybody know who Kal-El is?
That's some cool parents. If you
I
have
think so.
some, like to name him that, and it's a cool name, and you always, I mean, you're Superman's son, and the interesting or Superman,
Yeah,
but
you're
it's,
Superman.
what do you think about what it's going to do? Do you think there's going to be any backlash for? I mean, our comic book in your expert comic book opinion. I'm not a
you,
comic. Yeah, I'm
you
not
know, I
a.
have all of the comic book expertise, and yes, there is going to be a lot of backlash. From my estimation, that there's going to be a lot of backlash because when Iceman came out, Iceman from the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
When he came out, there were so many people advocating that he was a straight man, and men are straight for so long, and then they come out at whatever age. It's completely feasible that Bobby Drake, because again, we're on a first name basis,
Right, Bobby.
that
Now
could
I
come
love
out in his 30s. Basically, Bobby is around 35. So
Yeah, it's totally foreseeable, and I
yeah,
think it's really good. I mean, the current Robin we were talking about recently is coming out as bisexual.
yeah, and there
So,
was a
and
lot of backlash as far as that was concerned too.
you were telling
So
me offline too that it's really interesting because what was the interesting thing about it for him
be,
for
because it's interesting because John Kent is a newer character, and they're establishing these newer it looks like DC is establishing these newer characters as gay, as opposed to Marvel, they're bringing out more established characters. So I just thought that was an interesting dichotomy between the
Well,
two.
and the other thing that you were saying is that back in the day, they didn't really make them very sexualized at
Oh
all and had
yeah, I was
trouble.
saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, they had trouble dating, you said, because it's tough
Be-
to date a superhero is what you
It
said.
is tough to date a superhero. I asked
Is
my
it? Is it
boyfriend.
tough to date you? So this is at least bringing them into the 21st century for crying out loud, and showing that who wouldn't want to date a superhero?
Right? And DC has a couple high profile, as far as I'm concerned, high profile out gay men and lesbians, Midnighter and Apollo, who are based on Superman and Batman.
Oh, okay.
They're a gay couple. So, but they're from it's a whole long story. I'll
I
explain
said
it to you another time.
I'm sensing a new podcast that you could start. I will produce it
Gay
for you.
gay superheroes. Yes, let's do it.
Yes, I love
Yes.
it. Well, with
Okay.
more of them coming out, I hope he's on the market soon because I'm looking for someone to date, and he looks hot, super boy. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Teddy
what is
says
yeah?
there are definitely some toxic people in the fandom of comic books, so it will be drama. So he agrees with me. However, Supergirl's sister has been a lesbian for a while. Okay, I did not know that. Thank you, Teddy.
Wow.
And then he asked me what my superpower is, and it's probably to read a bitch down. Okay.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yes, I've been in your superpowers many times.
No, you have not. Super Shade. Actually, there's
Super
a drag
shade.
queen. There's a drag queen superhero called Shade in Marvel Comics too.
Oh, I
So,
love that.
and she's based off of Shea Coulee and Nina Bonina Brown and Dax exclamation point.
Look at you coming up with those
I
names.
just have so much comic book knowledge. It's crazy. So yes, let's get that podcast going.
Okay, I love it. All right. Well, I look forward to that. Well, if you were following our show the other day on TAGSPodcast, episode 292, you'll know that we were talking all about OnlyFans getting rid of porn content and how we were just talking about, Kodi was on the show, about how people are switching off and they're going to go to sites like for fans, right?
Just for fans and
For My Fans.
For My Fans. That's it. Yes.
For My Fans by Austin Wolf. A little more talk on that in a second. But wouldn't you know it, Kodi, just today, OnlyFans makes another huge announcement.
Oh,
after they announced all that we were just discussing. They go, "Thank you to everyone for making your voices heard." The company said in a tweet today, "We have secured assurances necessary to support our diverse creator community and have suspended the planned October 1st policy change. OnlyFans stands for inclusion, and we will continue to provide a home for all creators.
Oh,
Wow.
now they do.
Yeah, oh, now they do. Well,
last week it was a different story, honey.
You know, and in reading some more about it, the owner did talk to an outlet and saying companies like MasterCard, who had recently updated their regulations for sites that host adult content, and banks like JP Morgan Chase, Bank of New York, Mellon, and UK's Metro Bank, those were interfering with the payouts. So if that's true, and I know that's what the UK owner had said about that, you can't run a business if you
can't get paid.
Yeah, so if that's true, then
it's true that you can't run a business if you can't get paid. I don't know how true that statement is, that he's blaming it on the banks, because I read MasterCard's official statement and they said that they were not. Girl, that's tea right
what
there.
Did they say?
They said that they don't mind the sexually explicit content. They did not try and put those restrictions on OnlyFans.
Oh, that's really interesting. So then do you think that because it was huge, I mean, it made, Daily Variety, Variety Magazine, it made every post from CNN to Newsweek to on and on and on, not just our gay blogs. Do you think that there was so much backlash and they realized, oh my God, what have we done? That they just found a way to turn it around
to make it happen. Well, what I think is, because those subscriptions are, when the subscriptions end, you have to renew them.
Right.
I think they lost so much revenue in just that week time. This is like my hypothesis of what happened and why they retracted it so quickly. Just that week time, they saw how many people did not renew their subscriptions, and they saw how much money they would potentially be losing. And they were like, we can't do this, because money is the common denominator. It's the ultimate humbler, and it's it nullifies every other aspect of business. Money is what it's all about. It's the bottom line, basically.
You're probably right, because a lot of people probably didn't want to get charged again, and they're like, you know what, let me get rid of all these if it's going to end October 1st,
and they're stuck,
or they ended the subscription to end. I think you can do that too. Our co-host Jeremy Ross Lopez has always had this fun, I don't know if I'd recommend it or if OnlyFans would like this, but he has this policy where he wants to try a lot of different creators on OnlyFans. And so what he'll do is, if someone sparks his interest, he'll subscribe to it, subscribe, and then go, when he gets the email, he'll immediately that same day go and unsubscribe. But the point is, you get that month. So they charged you, say it's $9.99 for the month of August.
So he pays for the month.
He pays for that 1 month, which is totally legitimate, and then he goes right and cancels it so that it doesn't charge him. And I asked him, well, why do you do that? And his reasoning was so that my tastes, I am fickle. I like different. I want to try something new. So
he wants a new dick, basically.
He wants a new dick, and was and I was like, wow. That is so, because how many subscription services do we all belong to that
I don't even want to count
I
right
know.
now.
Just the other day, I was charged for something that I don't use, and I was like, oh, damn it.
This?
Yeah, or that guy. I'm still paying for her ass. I haven't wanted to sleep with that one or watch that one in a while.
Oh my goodness.
No. So, yeah, I think, but regardless, I think, so I'm curious, do you think that a lot of people went over to people like Austin Wolf's, because we were talking about Austin Wolf's new pay per site, just that's similar, comparable, or to Just for Fans? Because I ask you this because both of those have had different things come out. One of them, the Austin Wolf site, people have claimed that, and I hate even saying this because I love him, and maybe they'll work out the kinks over there for my fans, but people were talking about slow payments and bad customer service. And, you know, you need both of those things for this thing to work. And when I was telling you, when I was watching him on his Instagram Live with Instinct Magazine, I was laughing because he's doing this interview with the reporter, a twink.
Okay.
And he's Instagram Live, and he's so hot and everything like that. But he looks like he has no sense of humor at all, which is fine. The man is all business. He could have, but not in this interview. And midway, he's talking. So the other guy asks him, "So you're gonna take all these new people over?" He says, "Yeah, actually, as we speak, I've got 4 computers lined up right here, and it's gonna take a while, obviously. So you want to email over your content sooner than later, or he can help you actually move it over." But he was saying, you can imagine the download, the upload time frame that it can take. And so, but he was almost like doing it as he was doing this interview, multitasking. I was like,
and having sex with the twink at the same time,
and having sex with the twink, and talking about his upcoming marriage to his fiance. And I was thinking,
oh, who is so cute, by the way?
They're very cute. Yes,
okay, I have. All right. I just wanted to put that out there.
Live and in person. The tea on that one was, I've said this before, but when I hired him, when Austin Wolf used to be on Rent Boy, look at you sipping your tea.
I had to sip my tea.
I'll never forget. I walked in he opened the door and I was like, "Oh, hi." And he looked just as good in person, obviously. And as we walked through the living room to go to the bedroom, who do we walk by sitting on the couch watching Jeopardy? Because it was like 7 o'clock at night, was the boyfriend at the time.
Jeopardy.
Or something, and I was like, and I literally was like, "Oh,
not the Daily Double, honey, not the Daily Double."
Watching the Daily Double as I was wanting to get doubled, and yeah,
R.I.P. Alex Trebek, by the
way. How awkward is that to know you're the person that you've hired and Rent Boy? You're walking by his fiance and like, "Hi."
It's crazy.
I'm about to do your fiance in the other room. Is that nuts?
It would be awkward for me. I once dated a guy.
Wait, what part? The Jeopardy or the? I know we're getting so off track.
This is like a side.
Okay, side piece.
But you mentioned it. You brought it up. So here it is right here. Here's the whole tea. I once dated a guy. He told me he was single, right? But he was not single. And the entire time that we were having sex on his couch, I was like, why are we having sex on his couch? And because his boyfriend or husband or fiance was sleeping in the other room.
Well, I could top that.
Girl, give it to me.
So I was once on Fire Island, and you know, all bets are off on Fire Island. And I met this guy and his boyfriend on the dance floor at one of the Sip and Twirl, I think it was.
Okay.
And the 3 of us are flirting, but one of the boyfriends is really drunk. But the only good news was I was more into the more sober one. And he's flirting with me, and he says, "Do you want to come home?" And I said, "Well, with your boyfriend too? And is he okay?" And he said, "Yeah, it's fine." And I went along with it. We had to, in the pitch black, if anyone knows Fire Island, had to carry this guy. When I say carry, I'm like on either side, propping this guy up. He was that obliterated. We get to the house that they're staying at. We go into the room. We throw the one guy on the full bed. I don't even think it was a queen. And we proceed to have sex next to the drunk guy.
What?
And I was like, "Are you sure this isn't, immoral?" Or I don't know why I was thinking morality at this point. And we had sex, and he's like, "Oh, he's fine." Like, we had sex. But to, in fairness, I think the guy would have been actually okay. He would have just
if he would have woke up, he would have enjoyed it and joined in.
So it wasn't so much.
That's what my headcanon is.
Yeah, so it wasn't so much that we were like cheating on him in the same bed, but hey, listen, you snooze, literally, you lose. And I'm just saying. But I do think
I was not expecting that, but I should have been expecting that.
In all honesty, I do think had he wasn't been so drunk, he would have joined us, and it would have been Okay, so there
Yeah.
was that, but my goodness, we've
Wow.
but walking
That
by
is a
Austin,
story.
you snooze, someone gets
Someone
fucked
gets
next
fucked
to
next to
ya.
you. Yes,
I'm
thank you, Teddy.
redefining the statement on Tags Live right here. Yeah, so we'll see if in that period, however long that was, 1 week, if people are going to move over to OnlyFans. I'm going to monitor all my subscriptions and seeing if they're moving over, or because the other one, Just for Fans, is embroiled kind of in a little bit of controversy with
Yes,
a
they are.
performer. And this was an interesting thing you and I were talking about, because the owner, Dominic Reed, I believe he goes by, he's gay.
Mhm.
And Tanner Reed is the performer.
Oh,
Dominic,
yes, that's his name.
I forget his last name, is the gay owner of Just for Fans. And Tanner is accusing Dominic of basically sexually, what would you call it, molesting him, unwanted advances, and a lot of other
A little
things.
bit more than harassment, I would say, but
Sexual
I
harassment,
think,
yeah.
yeah, it's assault, actually.
Sexual assault, thank you. Yeah. And the crazy story about that, just to give you, Tanner did have consensual sex with Dominic, the owner of Just for Fans, back in 2019 when they were in Vegas for, I think it was an awards ceremony. And then Dominic also loaned him some money because
Mhm.
Tanner had an outstanding bill that he needed to take care of. And Tanner agrees with all that. But it went a little further when Dominic just expected Tanner to kind of go along with more
Yeah.
sex and pushed himself onto it. And then at one night, Tanner was going out and met another guy that he was into, and Dominic
Mhm.
wasn't having it and was threatening both the performers, that he was going to, just a lot of threats. And so
Yeah.
I guess
And
my
the other
question,
guy,
yeah, go ahead.
the guy that he went home with that evening, was so scared that he didn't even have sex with Tanner Reed.
Right, because he was worried that he was going to get kicked off of
Yeah.
Just for
He was worried about
Fans.
his income, basically.
So it's interesting. Here we always say, obviously, this is one case, one scenario, but a lot of the arguments for OnlyFans was it's not gay owned. And
Mhm.
here you're going to try and get more LGBTQ owned businesses that we want to support. This is owned by, do you think when it has to do with sex, because we've also talked about the Chichi LaRue, director of porn, that has also been in conflict too with crossing the line sexually with her performers, that sometimes you don't shit where you work. Is that the saying?
That shit where you eat is the
Don't shit where you
saying.
eat. Yeah. I always get those wrong. I
But that
rename them.
works too. And Teddy's gonna go shit where you fuck somebody, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Next to you.
Don't shit
Don't-
anywhere.
don't shit
Yeah,
anywhere.
except the toilet. But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on this story?
I think that we as gay men are completely capable of having a business, a sexual business where we don't actually have to harass. I believe that people are intrinsically good. There we go. Third time's a charm. And that we would not, this is the exception and not the rule, basically.
Right.
This man is the lowest of the low. He assaulted somebody.
Yeah.
That's not cool. Just because you have sex, consensual sex with someone one time does not give you consent for any future engagements. Anytime you see them in the future. And I think that we need to have more people like you and I that are good gays, good gay men, and we need to start our own OnlyFans, basically.
Oh, there you go. And a comic book company.
And a comic book podcast.
Yeah.
We got all the businesses, girl.
Yes. It's going to be interesting, though, to see if people branch out or just go, oh, child, let me just stick with OnlyFans. Or I got some time now. Maybe that's what will happen, is the people that are, because you had till October 1st. So there is a chance that a lot of people didn't migrate over to another platform yet. And if that's the case, maybe now because of all of these controversies, people are just going to kind of stay put for a minute, is which this is what I would do. And at the same time, look for some new, like, it's almost like a job. I'm not going to quit my job until I get a new one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay here. However, I'm going to keep looking. I'm not going to be stagnant. So I'm going to keep looking. I've got my recruiter going. And if something pops up that is, like we said, more trustworthy, and then I will migrate over. But I don't want to migrate over out of desperation or, you know, and so I'm thinking there's going to be more options. And so it could be an exciting turning point in time, I think, is what we were saying the other day. And this could be good. So
yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. We'll keep you posted, everybody.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, let's get into Vulnerable Voices, the segment we started when we started this. By the way, last week we celebrated 1 year of doing Tags Live. I know that you were there, Teddy, watching us right now, and some others. And so thank you for that. And we're trudging forward. But back with Vulnerable Voices, where we get a little deeper. This week, we wanted to talk a little bit about sex addiction versus sex positivity. Two things before we get into this conversation. One of them is stemmed from somebody that wrote into us looking for advice, and they were potentially asking the question, is this person, this friend that they were going to hook up with, that seemingly is sleeping around with several people, should I mess around with this person or not? Are they a sex addict or not? And we were kind of going back and forth with that. And so it kind of stemmed from that. And then the other thing that it stemmed from was, again, back with the Austin Wolf Instagram Live interview, he was saying, well, you know, I'm a sex addict here. And again, that interview, Kodi, he was very deadpan. He didn't crack a smile.
You gotta send it to me.
It's online. It's on Instinct Magazine, but I will post it on TAGSPodcast.com tomorrow. But including the interview at one point going, wow, you're going to need some help over there. I'm your guy. If you need some help over there, I offer
too.
Yeah, I'm sure that guy, that twink interviewing him, just wanted to be rubbing up next to Austin.
I don't want to rub up next to him. I'm good.
Well, but I mean, maybe not. But you know, the Austin Wolf, when the other one essentially was offering his services in one way, shape, or form, that Austin didn't even crack or say, "Oh, I would have been like, thanks for that. I will hit you up if we find her stuff." I would have said something like that. Nothing. We got nothing out of him, and so I was like, okay, that went nowhere, and it was slightly awkward moment. But he also said in the same interview, back to Vulnerable Voices, that, well, I'm a sex addict, again, with sort of the blanket statement of that. And nothing wrong with, maybe that's his truth, and that's totally fine. Just that's what sparked for me. What do you think the difference is? Let's just define what you think of between the two: sex addiction or sex positivity.
I think it's a very fine line, because I think that the difference is when you do things out of your comfort zone as far as sex is concerned. Either you do something dangerous, or you can't get enough, or you do something that is out of desperation. It's not really out of arousal or attraction. I think that is where the line is for me, because I have often wondered whether or not I have ventured into the sexual addiction category.
It's interesting you say that, and where I would either add on to what you're saying or maybe just make a comment about it is, I would layer in maybe porn addiction, where I've maybe found myself in those moments.
Been addicted to that.
Yeah, I've never been one of these, so back to the story we were talking about, the guy that was wanting to know if he should sleep with his friend or not. The one thing, to your point, was he was saying, well, this guy had, in one night, for example, slept with like 3 different guys that he met on the apps, and 2 of which he didn't even find attractive at all, but he used the quote, "But I wanted to get off." And so then he therefore found 2 and 3 guys later. That's not something that to me sounds a little bit more sex addiction like, because if I just needed to get off after I had sex with something, which to me is kind of hard, I would probably be fantasizing about how hot the sex experience was.
Oh my
And I
God,
want
me
to
too.
replay it in my head.
Yeah.
But I would probably jack off at home
Yeah.
like the next morning, or if it was early in the day, maybe I would, but I think when you say, but porn addiction is something I can kind of relate to, because I've had moments in time, particularly in the last year, I think a lot of us were probably addicted to porn because we had no contact with anybody.
Yeah.
But
I had to do a whole porn detox.
I want to, I want to revisit that. And how did you do that? Just cold turkey?
Cold turkey. And I had to, and it was so hard, pun intended. It wasn't so hard.
It wasn't so hard.
Not for a couple weeks, actually. I did it for about 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. But I did a cold turkey. I didn't watch any porn. I just used the strength of my imagination when I felt the need to have an orgasm. So,
or as Teddy just said, you found a boyfriend, and that's how you did it.
Because is Teddy superpower shade? Because I
maybe, yeah.
You tried to come for my gig, bitch. I see you. That definitely helped.
It's interesting because Lincoln, our other co-host, says similar things often, that once he's been now, I forget how long they've been, over a year now, him and Peter, and he doesn't watch porn anymore either. And I think that's true. If you have a boyfriend, you're less likely to go there. But I know you were doing this prior to the boyfriend.
Yes. And I actually started watching porn before I got my boyfriend. Before I found my boyfriend, before we met. So, yeah, it doesn't quite apply, but I watch much, much less porn. I haven't stopped watching porn because I just watched some this morning.
Here's the other thing is that you can do things like you did cold turkey, but you can also just be a little bit more, maybe monitor the amount that you are and take stock of that first. And then you could do, so what if you took stock in a week or so? Like, how many times was it daily? Was it several times a day? And take note of that so that you have something to sort of base your recipe for detox. So if you find, let's just say, for example, if you found yourself watching porn, I don't know, 3 times a day and getting off, and during every day, let's just say as one example, then your recipe for detox might be, let's just go to 1 time a day.
Yeah. Okay.
Or if you're
see that.
Or if you're once a day, then you could go to, let me just do it like not every day. Let me just try and piece this out and try. And I would say the other thing, look at me trying to coach here.
Hey, you're doing a great job.
The other thing I would say is because I think when you take stock of something, sometimes it's just addictions often in my mind are second nature things. So in other words, you're not aware. So this at least will make you aware. But what do you need to replace it with something? And I'm not, so like you were saying, I think if your instinct was to go, let me put that video on. Well, maybe your instinct would be, you know what, let me do a yoga class, or let me do 5 minutes, 10 minutes meditation and breathe it out, like we learned from so many of our Tantra leaders.
Yeah, I don't know how comfortable I am with like replacing
porn,
something that you're addicted to, with something else. Maybe just diversify the things that you do.
Yeah.
Maybe yoga could be one of them, and watching a TV show could be something else. I don't know. Like replacing it with something else just means that you'll be addicted to something else. Is that where you were going with that?
I think I was thinking more because to me, it's usually linked to a horniness that you're feeling. And so
and you're talking
a lot of the feelings that you're feeling to go towards your genitalia could be breathed out through breath work or Tantra work.
The energy in a different way.
Yeah. And using, and we learn so much with our Tantra special guests that sexual energy is energy, and it often just gets right into our mind and our genitalia, but through breath work you can use and breathe through that sexual energy and use it more in a useful way. Obviously this is practice, and like I think I use the yoga metaphor because yoga is a practice, and so that's why I use that. And
no, I see it's much clearer now, because it started to worry me a little bit that you would just replace it with something else, and you would
because you could replace it with alcohol and,
and you're still in a destructive pattern, and the whole thing is to try and break up the
I think I should have been a little more clear, and I speak only because of people we've had on our show that really are leaders, and that when you work through breath work and the sexual energy, you can actually take it that's just right from your mind to your genitalia and move that energy through breath work and be vibrating positivity, and then which could be useful. So anyways,
I agree with you. And exercise can be a way too. So I see what you're saying, and I agree with you.
And then on the other part of Vulnerable Voices, sex positivity, I was just talking recently about going to a party that was, I felt, a very sex positive party. And one might think, oh, well, people were hooking up with different people throughout the experience, but it was an environment and an event that was led to that. This event I'm talking about started off as a jockstrap party. They've done things. It was like sunset. They had a speech.
We love those.
Yes, it was no phones were allowed, mandatory. And you also knew that they had a whole exercise. I think I was talking about it on the show the other day, where look to your partner, meet somebody new. And they started with some touch things. And then it did break off into what's known commonly as sort of a sex party. But it was for an amount of time. And it was, to me, it wasn't a bunch of sex addicts. And it was a beautiful, safe space that was exploring partners. And I thought, to me, in my mind, that was sex positive.
I love that. I think that experience that you had was more, like you said, about exploration and seeing how you related to other people, and it wasn't about necessarily even getting off. That's what I get from the experience that you just described. I think it was more about exploring your own sexuality and what you enjoy as far as pleasure is concerned.
Right, in a safe space, it was literally by the pool, so you could see everyone's faces, and not that means anything, but it it was literally a party too, so it was conversations that were mixed in with sex.
That's beautiful.
So it was actually more than you get even when you do a quick hookup, that oftentimes you don't even have a conversation. You're just
I've had some great conversations at
have
sex
you
parties.
at sex parties? Yes, at sex parties. Me too. I've solved the world's problems,
world hunger, world peace, that whole thing going on. No, that was a bad joke. I'm not even going to say that.
Okay. You just edited yourself.
I just edited myself.
I love it. Well, let us know what you think about the difference between sex addiction and sex positivity. I feel like there's more to break down at some point, and we want to hear from you. Yeah, you can always DM us on our Instagram page at TAGSPodcast, where you can DM us for sex and relationship advice. All right. Well, yes, we've got our thirst trap to get to in just a second. Give it to Teddy ahead of time so he can weigh in. But before we get to that, give him some time there. But before we get to that, I couldn't help our favorite person to talk about, Lil Nas X, back in the news. This is a good story, though, because essentially there was, Charlemagne the God, right?
Yes. I love Charlemagne the God. I'm gonna let you tell the story, and then I will then we're going to go into it.
Okay, so I didn't know this other artist, but in a recent interview with Charlemagne the God on the podcast, The Breakfast Club, Boosie, who I didn't know, but you were telling me about Boosie, doubled down on previous comments from an Instagram video in which he claimed that Lil Nas X's frank homoeroticism damaged heterosexual viewers. And on the video, you said, this is Charlemagne talking, people trying to be straight. How you trying to be straight? If you're straight, you ain't got to try to be, Charlemagne recalled to Boosie. And then Boosie, I'm just saying, as far as if you have your kids watching TV, or if you're trying to raise strong young black men,
this is Boosie speaking.
This is Boosie speaking. If you have strong young black men, would you be cool with your kids watching it? And Charlemagne clapped back and said, strong black men, like, what are you talking about? And he doubled down and said, would you be cool if you're trying to raise him? And would you be cool with Lil Nas X going up there and taking all his clothes off? And Charlemagne continued to like push it further. Like, I don't understand that, because he went on to say that Charlemagne said it would depend on how old are the kids that we're talking about. And he further pointed out, and this is the comment that I love that Charlemagne pointed out, he further pointed out that much of hip hop and rap contains violent, misogynistic, and homophobic imagery, which is far more disconcerting than a naked gay man.
Oh, get him, Charlemagne, get him.
I love that he said that. A straight black radio host who's huge to challenge Boosie on this, I think is even more powerful than if somebody from our community tries to, because
I agree.
That was the first thing I said. And the crazy thing about the whole thing, and then I want you to weigh in real quick, is Lil Nas X was sitting back and copied the whole conversation and wrote this. He goes, wow, this is insane. Almost as insane as my new single, Industry Baby, which is out now.
Love it.
Last word, but acknowledging it and really probably saying, okay, Boosie, you just got, like, you thought you were trying to make this point, you doubled down even, and Charlemagne is like stomped on your shit. Yeah,
defended me, and I'm going to promote my thing right here. So that was brilliant. Number one. I also just want to, before I go into Lil Nas X, I would like to recognize Charlemagne for his growth. That man speaks on behalf of LGBTQ rights very, very frequently publicly. And I think it's just amazing. He's not right all the time. I'm not right all the time. You're not right all the time. No. But he is about learning. Unlike Boosie, who is just, he wants to stay in the doldrums, in the basement, blinded by his own hatred. Okay. Now that I've said that, Lil Nas X is so good at self-promotion. I want him to take and clapbacks too. I want him to have a TED Talk. I want to take his class on clapbacks. Yeah. I need all of that because he is amazing. So
redefining it too.
Snaps to him
while he's on with his badass career and hasn't even dropped the album yet, and
he's #1, the most listened to on Spotify.
And why are you going to come for somebody like this when DaBaby was just in the headlines for also homophobic, HIV rhetoric that was just blasphemous, and you're not even as well known as, I think you were saying offline, at least, if nothing else, at least DaBaby has music that some good tracks.
He thought somebody's going to listen to his music. Nobody wants to listen to you, Boosie.
Last time I checked, wasn't Boosie the thing we referred to as the male part?
Boosie.
Oh, Boosie. Okay, I always get that wrong.
It's very close.
Jeremy always corrects me on that. I want to call it Boosie, but it's Boosie.
It's Boosie, yeah.
I know, I always get that wrong. That cracks me up. Okay. Well, good for him. I'm so for Lil Nas X, and I love that. It's time to play our favorite game that we started, Thirst Trap by Straight Up Gay Porn. And this week, they had Oh, I was on my favorite one, and I almost missed how many. There were so many this week, but it's 18 gay porn stars, and which one of them took the best photo or video is our job to descriptively describe to you, since you can't see. Although, truth be told, I will put this up on Tags Podcast tomorrow, and you will get to view it yourself. Kodi, who did you pick in this week's Thirst Trap, and descriptively describe why?
So I just have to say, there's not enough butts on this week. So
what you got against Dick?
Nothing. I love Dick, but I love butts more. I'm a butt man through and through.
You and Jeremy.
Yeah. But if I have to pick one, it will be. I'm not sure. I'm probably going to butcher this. Italo Andrade, and he's taking a he's taking a bathroom selfie, and he is just insanely gorgeous. He has these beautiful tattoos. He's got his arm right above his. He's showing his armpit. He's in this very seductive pose. He's got the dick of death. Okay, I told you I like dicks. It's fucking beautiful, and it's uncut. And I'm stealing the pose for myself for one of my thirst trap selfies. So look for that pose, everybody, okay?
And what's great to piggyback off of what you're saying is, so if you guys go to the link that we have, Straight Up Gay Porns, they often put the picture of the week, and then they put their link, and it's usually linked to their Twitter handler. And I often like to go to that to help me with my decision making, because it gives me a little bit more. I don't know if that's fair or not, but I do that, but it helps me, because oftentimes out of 18, like 10 of them I'm totally into, and the job is to pick one. If you go to Italo Andrade's Twitter handler, there's a picture of, he's got a booty of death, is just like the dick, and there's one.
I didn't even look at the booty. Oh my gosh!
So Mr. Booty Man over here, there's one picture of him where he's on his back with his feet in the air and his holes wide open in his booty, and he said, "I love this position," and its ass is kind of winking at you, and it's beautiful, and he said, "This is my favorite position." So I'm just saying. And then there's another one taking a dildo that is so hot, and all you see is the ass going up and down, and it's like, so you did actually pick the right one. You just needed to do a little more research. And
my jaw hit the floor, by the way. I started drooling just from your description. You're so good at it. Thanks, Boo.
Okay, what are the people saying?
Silent. Well, first Teddy says Raheem Shabazz and Elijah Zayn. They're such a cute couple, and I love them. So that's a great pick. They were on the list for me as well. I want to see who you pick, and then I kind of have a feeling. But then Silas says that he ran into my pick on Runyon Canyon, and he was checking him out, and he was like, Silas said nope to him, and I want to know why.
Wow. To your pick, really?
Yeah,
he was actually I was going to go with him too, and I'm following him on Twitter. I ended up going with Landon Boswell, who's earlier on, and he's really sexy. He's got like just ripped abs, tight, and not like the hugest cut, but it's really pretty and it's fat. And I watched again. I did a little more research, and I went on to his Twitter handler. And he has this, he looks like, I don't know if he really is a medical professional or not, but he's in scrubs in one of them. And he says something to the point of, I hear you need help with your orgasm. I can help. And it's like his dick right there. And it's so hot. Yeah. And so he definitely gets my
prostate exam. I love it.
Okay, exactly. I'm so for him. And
I thought you were going to pick Rodrigo Amor. It's a video, and he's standing there. He's beautiful again. He's brown skin. He's just holding his penis and just whacking it on his hand. I thought you were going to pick him.
Let me find him.
Rodrigo Amor. I think he's right above Italo.
Oh, yes. That's why this week was hard. I have to say, there's a lot of them. Again, we will post this on TAGSPodcast.com. And did you ever get, where's our friend
Silas hasn't told us. I'll get it, and then I'll tell you later. I'll get the full story.
And Teddy goes, Afro Latinx, Rodrigo.
Rodrigo is beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, lots to pick from, lots to choose, so much time,
but not enough butts. I'm writing the straight up gay porn. Not
well,
enough.
check out Italo Andrade's
I'm
Twitter
going right
handler,
now.
and yes. Okay, well, this has been so much fun as always. Thank you for playing. You can always follow Kodi on Instagram. He's got 2. He's a life coach. Follow him at KMD Coaching, or on his personal account, where hopefully he will redo Italo Andrade's arm up. I want to see it. It better be the same with the dick out.
I'll cut it off above. I'll send the unedited version to my boyfriend.
Well, that you can follow in and hope for the best at Mr. Maurice, at Mr. Maurice. And don't forget, follow us on Instagram at TAGSPodcast. This has been so much fun. Thank you, Kodi. And again, if you happen to be in P-Town this coming week, Thursday through Monday, coming up here, I'll be there. So hit me up, reach out, DM me at TAGSPodcast. Would love to meet you and enjoy the fun. Absolutely. And I will see you very soon, Kodi. Thanks, guys. So much fun.
Have a good night, everybody.